Hello and welcome to Instant Transmission, a podcast where we discuss everything in Dragon Ball. And if you want to feel old, keep listening. Tonight, we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Dragon Ball Super by putting together 10 of our favorite moments from the series. This recording takes place over the span of an hour or two, but we've chopped it up and stretched it out to 35 episodes in honor of the Tournament of Power and your convenience. I'm your host, Dayton, and once again, I'm joined by my co-host, Todd.
Hi.
Tonight, Todd and I have decided on a list of 10 of our favorite moments and have assembled this list in no particular order. There are a few honorable mentions at the end, but otherwise, this is not a tier list and just a collection of things and aspects we like about the series. So with all of that covered, was there anything you wanted to add before we got things started, Todd?
No, I think we can jump right into our clearly not ordered list.
So, the first thing we have in our 10 things we like about Dragon Ball Super is Vegeta versus Jiren. And this includes a lot of different things, including the speeches Vegeta gives, the fight itself. There's a lot to cover here. And I don't know, did you want to pick something to start off with?
Yeah, why don't we? We'll do this in chronological order. So, kind of starting off with when Vegeta challenges Jiren the first time, he basically he watches Jiren fighting Goku and kind of gets a read on Jiren. So Vegeta kind of like weaves in and out of Jiren's punches, watching his pattern, gets a good blow on him, delivers this really cool, like super short in the moment Gallic gun, but it's like just visually the beam kind of like curves around and Jiren knocks it out of the way. It looks awesome. All of this kind of culminating, I think, in Vegeta's final flash. A little bit of a callback to his final flash against Cell because he asked Jiren to stand still, but the music, the visuals, the way Vegeta is drawn, the key that he builds up for the final flash, all of it looks phenomenal. Which then kind of turns into Vegeta almost getting fully blasted off of the stage. I think that's most of like the first exchange that we're talking about. If there's anything you want to add there, Dayton.
No, I think you pretty much hit it on the head. The animation quality is actually pretty decent. And anytime they actually give our not Goku characters any time in the limelight, that's actually meaningful. And this does feel meaningful. This is a big fight for Vegeta and it's animated pretty well. And the final flash you mentioned, I love the sense of motion that it's given. So as Jiren's kind of charging into Vegeta, he's like the blast kind of arcs across him as he kind of dodges and deflects it, kind of moving through it. And just the sense of urgency and the sense of respect that Jiren gives that attack feels really good.
Yeah, 100%. It is.
Or, I'm sorry, Gallic gun. I think I said final flash.
Yeah. I think the first blast is this Gallic gun that leads up into like a charged final flash. All of it is, you can tell they brought their A team for this animation. It's really well done, really cool visually. And there's a lot in here about Vegeta's pride is on the line, which kind of like moves us into, we've kind of tying a lot of different pieces together here, but towards the end of Vegeta's run or participation in the Tournament of Power is where he fights against Jiren. He's basically beaten at this point. He has no energy left. He can't transform even into base Super Saiyan. He's in his just base form, black hair. He's gotten beaten so much that one of his eyes is swollen shut, but he is on his feet fighting Jiren with everything that he has, even though he knows he has no chance of winning. But he's basically expressing like, we are Saiyans. We're going to fight until the very last moment. I don't need to be the one who wins this tournament. I just need to fight. And, his goal is to take Jiren out with him, even though he doesn't quite succeed in that. But I love the idea of Vegeta just barely being able to even stand or walk. Like, the animation it's fine, but as far as fight choreography goes, Vegeta's moving super slow, and I actually like that for this scene. It shows just how worn and tired he is, and Jiren just like knocks him out without a thought, really. And Vegeta, in his last moment before he leaves the arena, gives the tiniest little remnants of his energy to Goku, of all people. And that says so much about Vegeta and his growth as a character, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's even a moment where Vegeta's like that slow motion you're talking about tries to take Jiren's arm and do like a over the shoulder throw with him. And Jiren's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And it's Vegeta's defiance that's really on display here. It's his refusal to back down. It's a fun scene, and I like it when characters are pushed to their absolute limits and still like not giving up on the fight. And Vegeta's still prideful through all this too. Like even though he knows he's beaten, he's not giving that up. And I like seeing his character kind of stay in his character even at the very end. It feels very Vegeta, and I like the way he's written here.
100%. I think one of the things that really truly the fan base loves about Dragon Ball is that idea of like perseverance and pushing past your limits, and that is like fully on display with Vegeta here, and I absolutely love that. And I think kind of chronologically, if we shift past this moment to another moment that's a little bit disconnected from Jiren, but we're tying all these together partly because Dayton's humoring me because I love all these Vegeta moments. But the next one is Vegeta in the stands, where he's out of the competition at this point. However, he's continuing to root for his team, and he's actually mouthing off to the gods in the stands beside him, as the gods are basically expressing they're watching Goku in his Ultra Instinct omen or sign, his kind of like unfinished Ultra Instinct as he's fighting against Jiren, and they're basically expressing like, oh, Goku, he hasn't mastered it. He's not going to be able to win. And Vegeta's like, bitch, just watch. He's like, we've had less than an hour in this fight, and you've watched the Saiyans surpass their limits time and time again. Goku is working to do that now, and he's going to. And then he gives Goku this like pep talk, basically just saying like, hey, I left you my energy. I'm out of the fight. The fight is on your shoulders now. And I've put all of the pride of the Saiyan race on you, Kakarot. So win this fight. And it is one of the most beautiful speeches from Vegeta. I absolutely love this. Like it kind of harkens back to him expressing that Goku is, or Kakarot is, he's better than him, that he's when he's talking to Goku or talking and thinking about Kakarot during the Buu arc and expressing like how strong he is, this kind of harkens back to that, but it's also expressing, hey, you are a Saiyan, and I acknowledge that. Like, I want you to do this for the Saiyans too.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny to me, not funny, but it's interesting to me because when you think about Vegeta's history and how he was basically promised the throne of the Saiyan people, and that was taken from him when he was a small child. Um, that's been like a driving, motivating factor throughout his entire life. And so, if there's one other person in the universe that Vegeta would be able to trust, like those hopes and his dreams to, it would have to be another Saiyan, right? Like, as much as he in a way competes with Goku and even kind of is jealous or envious of Goku, he still respects Goku as a Saiyan. And him being pushed to that moment where he can't make it over the hurdle, but he's willing to pass on the torch. I do like that it's Goku who he passes it to, but it's not just the gift of energy. It's all of his motivations come with it and the expectations. And even though Goku doesn't feel the weight of the Saiyan race on his shoulders, Vegeta wants to like convey that to him, be like, hey, this is why I'm fighting, So don't just win for the reasons that you want to. You need to win for the reasons I want as well. Like you need to
Yeah.
feel that. And I I think he does a good job of kind of laying those expectations that he feels on Goku's shoulders. Because it's not just, hey, we're the Saiyans, we're the best. I mean, it's a big part of that. But it's also kind of that mantle that he was given that's probably always sitting on his shoulders at every battle and every moment in his life.
100%. Yeah, and the fact that he can share that weight and that mantle with Goku is with somebody that he, in the Saiyan arc called a low class Saiyan, a low class warrior, like you're beneath my boot. Uh Man, I will gush about Vegeta's journey for forevermore. Um but I think that that's all for this our first entry regarding Vegeta and like him fighting Jiren and his kind of story arc. I think I'll let it go and we can move on to the next beat.
Yes, and the next beat's actually another fun kind of character focused one. We're going to be talking about Zamasu and some of the future Trunks stuff because Zamasu's a really interesting character, right? He's somebody who has a different perspective than most of the villains we've seen. He's somebody who I also think is written with pretty decent dialogue. Just some of the stuff he says is so, I don't know, arrogant, so just different than the other villains that we've been dealt with in Dragon Ball. And even though the future Trunk stuff is, I don't know, kind of like a fillery storyline, I don't know how canon it exactly is. At least there's a cool character that comes with it. And honestly, I think Zamasu's way more interesting than Jiren. So I think it'd be crazy for us to not bring him up.
Yes. So I personally really like Zamasu as a villain. I think that he is I've heard some people in the fan base say that he's not like he doesn't feel like a traditional Dragon Ball villain, and I actually like that. I Some people see it as a negative, but I see it as a positive. And a lot of our villains in Dragon Ball they're kind of like black and white evil, right? A lot of them are just like, this is just a bad guy. He wants to hurt people. He wants power. We see that in, Cell, Frieza, whatever. There's subtle nuances to them beyond that, but they're mostly just bad guys. Zamasu is a god. Zamasu sees mortals and sees their flaws and sees how they are hurting each other and how they are like fighting and stealing and all these corrupt elements of humanity or mortals, and says, "Oh, oh, we need to get rid of this. You creatures are flawed and should be wiped out from the universe." So from Zamasu's perspective, he's doing something good. He's doing the right thing. Like he believes that gods are perfect in his eyes and gods should exist and mortals should not. Uh so I really like this narrative behind Zamasu. And he does some terrible things himself, but it's almost like he has this blind spot effectively to his own flaws and his own issues or the evil deeds that he's doing, despite the fact that he's trying to wipe out mortals who are doing these evil, bad things to each other, which is fascinating to me.
I mean, just the level of hubris you'd have to be like, I'm going to change the structure of the universe to reflect my vision of it. Because he's not the only god in this universe. And he never sat down and thought about, well, why haven't all the other gods done this? So he's not only taken that stance of, I'm going to wipe out all living creatures because it's the moral thing to do, but also I'm going to do it on behalf of all the other gods. I'm going to be doing them a favor. It's this double-edged sword of just how arrogant this character is. And honestly, I kind of get it, right? He's of a divine race sort of thing. He's gifted unnaturally long life, superpowers. There's a lot going on with this character where you could kind of see it going to his head. And I mean, hell, he gets a hold of a time travel ring, right? So he can traverse time. He's immortal. I can understand why a character like this would go rogue with all of those elements kind of going to their head. So I like that we take what is normally kind of the guardian race of the galaxy, right? I forget what the Glens is he a Glen? I'm trying to no, that's Supreme Kai. He's a
The
whatever his race is. I forget what they're called. But
the
they're
glint,
kind of
I
the
think.
protectors of the universe and him kind of going against that grain and becoming the destroyer of the universe.
Yeah, yeah. And he might actually be something like the Supreme Kai. We don't really get the full details, but he is drawn similarly in design. Um, but yeah, I agree with what you had to say there, where it's you can understand the mentality of Zamasu, even if you don't, as a viewer, if you don't agree with it, you can see why he went from being a god and watching over the universe and protecting mortals to viewing them as flawed and wanting to get rid of them. You can kind of see this path of logic for this person to become an evil asshole and take over Goku's body and try to murder everybody. Um, it's it's a much more interesting story than some of the other villains that we get. I think it is a little bit more complex, and there's a few stumbling blocks in terms of telling Zamasu's story. But I think Dayton, I don't know if you mentioned this already. There's something you liked about the universe in which Zamasu exists that I think you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, so Zamasu is a much more menacing villain than a lot of the other ones we've encountered because in the timeline he exists in, there aren't really Dragon Balls for people to come back. So whenever someone dies or there's a negative event, it's kind of permanent. Like there's no real fixing it. And so when Zamasu, comes to Earth and starts destroying everything, the people who are killed don't come back. The destruction he wreaks stays. And so there's something much more villainous about somebody whose actions are permanent. And it makes him a compelling villain to want to try and fight, right?
Yes, yes. I will continue to say I deeply love Dragon Ball, and one of my biggest problems with Dragon Ball is the Dragon Balls themselves and how many of them there are. And so that's why I love Future Trunks' universe so much, is because there is so much tragedy and sorrow. And in tying that to Zamasu, I mean, Zamasu is responsible for killing many people. I mean, I think it's technically another timeline from even Future Trunks' timeline in which Zamasu has done a lot of these things, but kills Goku's family, takes over Goku's body, presumably kills, a bunch of people connected to Trunks. So, well, I mean, we even get to see Zamasu kill Balma, or I guess Goku Black, Zamasu as Goku Black. Um,
I also like that the way he fought was kind of different than other villains, right? Like he had the energy blade, and then he had the ability where he would summon key blasts from like the heavens basically and rain down. I mean, I got to say the guy had a pretty cool, what do they call it? Drip.
yeah, you're not wrong. He eventually gets like a freaking key scythe that he uses as like a I mean, there's some cool imagery in that of like a god then getting a scythe and maybe becoming like a death god of sorts or something. I don't know. I'm not sure how I felt about the key scythe. It's unique, but I do like the imagery that's attached to it 100%. And
It felt
then
like a bunch of cool ideas that just needed to be fleshed out a little bit more, and you could have had something really amazing here. So unfortunately, the execution knocks a lot of this a little bit, but the ideas are really cool.
yes, yes, I very much agree. And I think actually when we went over Super, you actually brought this one up, Dayton, but I was just thinking about the idea of Zamasu towards the end when he fuses and all this stuff, his body becomes corrupt and starts to like fall apart. And there's something that's also very interesting about a god who believes that he is perfect and is creating this perfect universe, and you can see physically on his body his body becoming like corrupt and warped, and some of this like mental ideology that is corrupt and warped, actually showing that physically through his visual appearance. There's just a lot that I like about what they did with Zamasu.
Yeah, that kind of quest for perfection coming back and like manifesting itself in the opposite direction. But him being just too arrogant and too much hubris to even understand that he's ruining himself and the universe. I love it. There's so much fun that could be had here. This is, I mean, honestly, they made a movie about this. They could maybe patch some of this up and give us some amazing. And I mean, it doesn't have to even be canon. Just give me some amazing on-screen content to consume.
Man, if they made a movie of the quality of Battle of Gods, I would be fool. I would eat that up. That would be really cool. But I think that's most of what I have to say for that one. Did you want to move on to the next one here, Dayton?
Yeah, we can move on to the next one. So that was Zamasu and just kind of how fun he was, and just a note about the universe without Dragon Balls. Now we're
Yeah.
going to move on to a moment that happened, which is Goku combining the Super Saiyan Blue with the Kaioken in his battle against Hit.
I mean, this is just a hype moment, man. Like, uh, I don't. I think that there are probably people who don't like this from like a, if you want to call it a lore or universe perspective. But I feel like there's almost nobody who would watch this and not get hyped watching Goku pull out the Kaioken and then a 10 times Kamehameha against Hit. Like, I lost my shit watching this for the first time.
Yeah, and I mean, it's, we both love the Kaioken. And if you are able to combine it with like Super Saiyan Blue, the technique is kind of useless, right? Like it's you almost kind of need to break that barrier so that way we can get this cool old technique to come back into the fold, because right now without this combination there's almost no point in using it.
Right. Yeah. There's a number of issues there where like Kaioken should have probably also been used by somebody other than Goku on top of that, but it's such a cool
Yeah.
technique. I like the red fiery aura. I like the downside of it like hurting his body. We even get some of that downside in this fight, even though there's not like long-term ramifications of it, but by the end of the fight Goku can't move. Um it's visually striking, the blue and the red aura. Uh and I mean, there's some things to be said about it making Goku strong enough to not to be able to push through Hit's time abilities. Maybe not my favorite way to go about that, but still hype moment. And also just this is like total fan service, like callback to the Saiyan arc. And also something that was really unexpected. Like we hadn't seen the Kaioken really since he fought Frieza before Goku transformed into a Super Saiyan. I don't think that we've really seen it since then. And so it was, really a rug pull on the audience, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not in any real meaningful capacity since Frieza. So being able to see it here against Hit was definitely cool. And man, I think we briefly talked about this before we started recording, but this feels kind of like a fan servicey moment. But we're both okay with that because it's one that's done well and it's fun. And I'm kind of okay with them moving barriers aside if we're going to be doing something cool, which is exactly what I think they did here. And it's used in a fun capacity, and like you said, there's the downside to it that we get to see, where even though it's not permanent damage, we get to see Goku on the ground writhing in pain from overexerting himself. So if this adds more tools back into Goku's toolbox for him to be able to utilize in the future, I'm also cool with that because it makes his fighting style a little bit more unique to himself, I guess.
Yes. I also really like the way that he leads up into this, where he says, I've been working on something new, but I haven't quite mastered it yet. And like that build up as an audience is like, what's he been working on? What is he going to pull out here? Like they build the hype up for it beautifully.
And I mean, that's what we want. We want to see new techniques and new creative ways to fight. And any excuse they have to add something new to the equation, I'll take. We've had way too much of just generic key blasts and hair swaps and all kinds of stuff that just doesn't really add anything meaningful.
Right.
That something like this, which is just kind of a rehashing of an old technique, I'm perfectly fine. It's an old technique I love, but it's also one that adds more dynamic to the fight. And so if any excuse, I'll take it. Just add something fun and interesting.
100%. Yes, definitely. So props to them for the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. Definitely love it. Uh, I think for the most part, that probably brings us to the next one.
Yes, which is we're just gonna kind of talk about how Frieza was portrayed in Dragon Ball Super because I think we both think that Frieza was done excellently. Just that kind of menacing background character who you aren't quite sure is actually on your side.
Yes. So I think that I was a little bit hesitant when they were going to bring Frieza back originally, and there's some maybe some mildly questionable choices at like early on in the series, but especially towards the latter half of Super when Frieza comes back for the Tournament of Power. Even like well, one of my favorite scenes, maybe in all of Super, is when Frieza first comes back with in like Baba's place, and I think the other universes for the Tournament of Power send these henchmen to go kill Frieza. Uh, and Goku's like, no, well, Frieza basically just starts murdering them left and right, full on onslaught. And Goku's trying to stop Frieza from just killing people senselessly. Um, and Frieza just doesn't care. There's also this like tension between Goku and Frieza of like, are they gonna fight or aren't they gonna fight? And Frieza is like expertly kind of like, I mean, even punches Goku in the stomach, but is also like, I'll help you if it's to my benefit. Like, if you promise to free me from my hell, literally.
And I mean, there's the whole dynamic between Frieza and Frost where they're kind of working together during the Tournament of Power. You're not sure if Frieza's gonna backstab everybody for his own benefit. And I believe Frieza even eliminates Kaba from the Tournament of Power. So he kind of shows this weird, like, Kaba's not on their team, but at the same time, Frieza's very aware of how Vegeta feels about Kaba.
He does it very deliberately to it's like a catharsis for him to beat up on a Saiyan. But then also I think that there is a moment where he like sees this connection between Vegeta and Kaba, and he's doing it also to stick it to Vegeta. So there's so many little details about the way that Frieza interacts and engages with his team where like, well, for the most part, he's actually working to his team's benefit, but it doesn't stop him from getting digs in, even at his own teammates when he's able to. I think there's too, like the moment where he, it looks like he's going to betray his team to fight with Frost from Universe 6, and then he betrays Frost. And then there's the moment where I think it's where Gohan is fighting. What's his name from the Pride
Oh, the fast
Troopers?
guy? Fast Rabbit?
Yes, yeah, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but you're kind of not sure. Like the rabbit gets the better of Gohan, and you're not sure if Frieza's going to help Gohan or not. He ends up helping Gohan, but the tension there of like, where is Frieza's allegiance? Like, whose side is he on?
Yeah, and it's almost like Frieza can't help but have a little bit of fun. Like, if I'm going to be drawn into this massive ordeal, I'm at least going to enjoy myself, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I mean, Frieza's all the time walking around and using the pointing
Death
finger
beam.
laser beams, which is
Yeah.
just, I mean, it's basically a torture technique, right? Like, you could use more effective key blasts if you wanted to, but just chipping someone away inch by inch by inch, hearing them yelling in pain is much more Frieza than something that's a little bit more succinct.
Yes. Yes, it's very I mean he's sick. He's twisted. He wants to torture and hurt people. and you see that on full display in the Tournament of Power. Man, I like I said, I had my reservations about them bringing back Frieza, even though I absolutely love Frieza. They did so much right with his character in the Tournament of Power in particular that I'm really glad that they brought him back for like the third or fourth time or whatever it is at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the same boat, and I feel the same way, about Frieza's idea of Kaioken, where it feels kind of fan servicey. Like, I'm sure there's 100 more decisions that would have made more sense than bringing back Frieza of all people. But Frieza was done so well, and I had such a good time watching Frieza be despicable and backstabbing and dishonorable that I'm okay with it. Like, I got so much Frieza junk food that I'm happy with that I allow it. I'm okay with this. We had a good time.
Yes, yes, 100%. There's a little piece too that I think we'll talk about here coming up that connects to one of our other top 10 that I want to reference to, but I'll leave that as a little teaser as we move on to our next item on the list.
Yeah, so our fifth item on this not a tier list is Krillin fighting against Goku, and more specifically, the tactics he employed. And this isn't a long fight. This is actually only about a minute and a half long. The actual fight itself, not even that actually. But uh Krillin's way outside of his league. Goku is immensely more powerful than our little short friend. And I like that Krillin fights with kind of that in mind where he's when Goku charges in on Krillin, Krillin fakes using a solar flare, and when Goku puts his arms up, actually switches it up and throws some destructo discs at him, kind of catching him off guard. And this is all done very well. Just because Goku has to panic, put his arms up, and I'm sorry, he led with destructo discs, then went into solar flare, and then when Goku put his arms up, he hit him with the ki blast. Let me get the order of operations correct here. And Goku's kind of caught on the back foot by this surprise changeup. And Krillin uses this moment to control the Destructo discs to secretly cut like a little hole in the ground that he's going to kind of push and goad Goku into to try and get him to fall through the arena. I mean, it's fighting with your brain and not your power. And I like this a lot. He actually forces Goku to even go up into from base form into Super Saiyan, which feels about right for how I feel Krillin's power level should about be.
Yeah, this is on our top 10 super moments, and this one is probably like a low key contender that I would imagine not many people really would have expected on here. But there's something, I mean, first off, you're going to see moments from Vegeta and Krillin because those are our boys. But secondly, there's something that I think both Dayton and I like about this fight a lot, even though it's so short, that a lot of the fights in Dragon Ball come down to who's got the bigger energy peen. Like, it's just, whoever's power level is bigger, they're going to beat up the other guy. And yeah, there's, fun techniques in there and stuff, but a lot of the time they're not tactical fights. It's just big numbers mean more punchy, more blasty. This fight, though, even the simple idea of going to do a technique and using it as a fake out to then shift into another technique is something that's so rarely done in Dragon Ball. I love that concept, and I love seeing it come from Krillin of all people, who has always been outmatched in almost every fight he's been in.
Yeah, and he knows Goku, right? He's like, I know Goku knows this technique, so I can use this against him. It's kind of the inside baseball that he has on display here. No one knows Goku's fighting better than Krillin, maybe Vegeta, but still, Krillin grew up with Goku. He knows how he thinks, and I wish this would have been a longer fight because the couple of ideas that they used here were excellent. And it really did make Krillin, for the first time in a while, by the way, feel like he's a competent martial artist. And it's always kind of been in Krillin's interest to kind of outthink his opponent. Even when he was young training with Master Roshi, he would try and like pull the wool over Goku's eyes or try and like fool him with like the rock switch and stuff like that, where long time ago, Master Roshi throws a rock into the woods with like a certain marking on it. And Krillin tries to like cheat the system and trick Goku and try and like not just raw dog it out into the woods and find the rock, but try and find a way to circumvent the fight, sort of thing. And I like that he kind of tries to do that here a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. This plays into Krillin's character really, really well. And like the tie-in that you just expressed ties back all the way to the first time that we met Krillin. So it's not only like, if you just watch this fight, the visual spectacle, it's fine. Like it's nothing to write home about. But that's not the only reason this is in our top 10. It's the tactics that are really good. It's the fact that this plays into Krillin's character really well, as far as like, I mean, it's a really great narrative storytelling beat for Krillin. And it's expressing a character through the way they fight, I think, is a very hard thing to do. And I think it's really well done in this fight for Krillin in particular. So I like this one quite a bit, for as much of like a low key entry as this one is.
And kind of as a side note, if they would have used Master Roshi's fight with Jiren from the manga, that also would have been on here, but they didn't.
I love that one and will never stop singing its praises. Um,
But this is a brief one. There's not a whole ton to this, but it's just it gives a side character kind of an expert like depiction of how they would actually fight in a battle. And I like it. Give me my side character, give me my Krillin goodness. I wanted this on the list, so that's why it's here.
yeah, yeah, totally fair. There's a lot that I like about this one too, obviously. But I think that pretty much brings us up to our next item.
Yes, and this one, man, this is gonna be fun. So we love the addition of the new characters, Beerus and Whis. They add so much life and vibrancy to the universe. They're fun characters. They play off of each other really well. You kind of have that like angel versus not quite devil, but angel and devil kind of narrative between the god of destruction and an angel. So it's very Toriyama, and their personalities are fantastic.
There's so much to talk about here. Like I mean, saying it's very Toriyama is a great way to allude to Toriyama loves to introduce characters in pairs, and we've talked about this before. It makes it so that they can really play off of each other, and that's along the lines of what you're expressing here, Dayton, of like, an angel and devil sort of dynamic, whereas like Whis is very nonchalant, non-caring. He's not. I mean, he's very powerful, but he's not necessarily dangerous or threatening. Whereas Beerus is also very powerful, but is very dangerous and threatening. I mean, he's literally the god of destruction. He is here to destroy things. And that's kind of like that's the whole conflict in the first arc of Super, is that Beerus comes to Earth looking for this Super Saiyan god, and when he doesn't find what he wants, on a whim, he's just going to destroy the planet. And that's, I mean, it's terrifying, but it's also this, like, it's this funny dynamic because Beerus he's not a traditional bad guy. In fact, he becomes a good guy or an ally to the good guys, I guess. So that also makes him like a more interesting conflict than just being a straight bad guy as well.
Yeah, we talked about this briefly earlier, where there's so many bad guys in Dragon Ball where it's very black and white. They're evil or what have you. They're a monster. It's something where fighting them makes sense. Beerus is more complex because he kind of has a job to do, right? Like, there are beings in the universe that create. Well, there's also beings in the universe that destroy. So you could view that as evil, but it's kind of a necessary part of the cycle of the universe in a weird way. And so when he comes to Earth and he's threatening to destroy Earth, well, obviously we as Earthlings think that that's an evil, bad, no good thing to do. But you kind of get some back and forth from Beerus and Whis on whether the Earth's going to be destroyed or not. So you get that kind of, I don't know, that struggle with that character on whether he's going to destroy the planet or not. And I mean, that does basically come to fruition with him using Earth's best fighters, and well, some of not some of the best fighters in the universe to try and defend the universe. So he is a very morally complex character. And I like that. I like that I can sit down and look at this character and think about it. Like, all right, well, when Whis was sitting around eating fish and sushi and sashimi or whatever, and delaying Beerus from blowing up the planet, was that intentional? Was he actually like sitting there on purpose to protect the planet? Was he just trying to annoy Beerus? What's the dynamic between these two characters? Because they work together, but they're also not always on the same page either. It's a really interesting dynamic to kind of watch.
Yes, 100%. There's lots of great comedy that comes out of them too. I mean, I mean, just so many beats I couldn't even touch on all of them. But the like Beerus is a very volatile, angry character, but it's also played for laughs. Well, it's threatening, especially in the first arc, but it's also played for laughs where Beerus will get angry at Goku and Vegeta like wrecking his planet or something, and then Whis is kind of like is so far up the totem pole that he doesn't even care. Like when Beerus gets angry, he's just like, "Oh no, Beerus is upset again," and Whis is just like fucking off on Earth, getting some sweet treats from Balma or something. So there's lots of great comedy. There's lots of great tension. I mean, the other idea of like Whis is also a mentor to Goku and Vegeta, and it's like I think even now you can kind of wonder why. Like, what is Whis's motivation for doing all of that? I mean, I know Vegeta in particular kind of buys Whis off with treats and stuff from Earth and getting to visit Balma and whatnot. But maybe there's something underlying there that even now we don't know as the audience. So they're just great. I could talk about them for days.
Yeah, and like the humor's great between the two, the way they play off of each other. And I mean, it's so interesting that the way that it's revealed that Whis is actually like the mentor for Beerus, this angel is actually kind of keeping an eye and being the custodian of the god of destruction is a very, very I don't know, it's just very good story writing. I there isn't a ton of bad things I can say about Beerus and Whis because I think their characters are just written so well. I don't know. Like I'm really interested to see the story continue further because I feel like we still only have kind of a pretty shallow view into at least Whis. We've actually seen Beerus fight Goku and we've seen a lot of Beerus's personality, but I still feel like there's a lot for us to learn about Whis yet. So I think if the story continues forward in anime form, we'll be able to see exactly what his character's up to and is capable of. But I'm still waiting for more. I want more of these characters. They're so well written.
For sure. Yeah, I very much agree. And yeah, I think we both kind of alluded to there's more to dig into with Whis's character. Um I mean, we get little bits and threads in the anime of like there is the grand priest above the angels, and then of course you've got Zeno above that even. And so that's kind of part of what I was talking about with I would love to know more about Whis's intentions and motivations for in particular for teaching like Goku how to use Ultra Instinct, or at least giving him the threads to move in that direction at the very least. Uh yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say about them. They are just excellent.
Yeah, so much personality, so much fun. Two of Toriyama's better characters he's written. He's written a lot of good characters. So I'm glad that we got to meet these two in this series. I'm looking forward to seeing more of them. But we've got to continue forward with our list. And the 7th entry on our top 10 things we like about Dragon Ball Super will be the Kefla fight. And this one there's a lot of buildup to this fight. And there's a lot of references in this fight, like the references to the legendary Super Saiyan, Goku kind of escalating back up, kind of redoing all the different transformations he's done throughout the years. And so there's a lot of fan servicey moments. There's a lot of references. This is a very complex fight, if that's the right word.
Yes, and this is a funny one because I certainly like this one more than Dayton does, but I definitely wanted to fight to put this one on the list. But I think at least part of this one moment in this one we both very
Oh
much
yeah,
agree
that
should
moment is
be.
really cool.
Yeah. But there even earlier on in this fight, so like the tail end is the probably the best part of it, but even earlier on in this fight, I really like the idea of watching Kefla just move around. Like you see her the way they animate it is super cool where she like darts in and she's like having to stop her momentum because she can barely control how powerful she is, which is just a really cool concept. And then I mean we kind of watch her fight for a while in base form and then eventually just transform into Super Saiyan, and it's like a weird, I don't even know if you would call this like the legendary Super Saiyan form because Kale's in there and it's got kind of a green. I don't know. The fusion makes it complicated. Whatever the case, she's insanely powerful. And Goku, even in his like Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, can't really keep up with her, but he does go into the Ultra Instinct sign or omen form and is able to just effectively dodge most of her attacks, but because he's got the unfinished Ultra Instinct form, he's good at defense but not good at offense, which kind of runs into the moment that I think both Dayton and I really like.
Yeah, this is kind of the pinnacle of the fight here, the climax, when Goku pulls back for a Kamehameha wave, and Kefla's just like going nuts, right? Launching these massive ki blasts. And Goku runs up towards Kefla, kind of jumps on top of the ki blasts that was fired at him, holding the Kamehameha in his hand, and I don't know, like rail grinding up Kefla's blast and then spinning off the end of it and just blasting the hell out of her. I think this moment looks so goddamn good.
Like, yeah, I it cannot be overstated how cool this moment is. One of the best Kamehamehas in all of Dragon Ball, full stop. Um, but even the lead up to that is like Kefla has these like I think green and red energy like just building up in her hands and it's shooting like dozens of beams at Goku, and again he's in his Ultra Instinct Omen form, so he's able to like zip and dodge out away from all of these blasts, and all the while he's kind of got his hands to his side in that Kamehameha charging position, and he's charging it while dodging these attacks as he runs up. The thing that is super interesting about this to me, and Dayton, you and I talked about this before recording a little bit, is that in the Tournament of Power, they take away flight, which is something I know you, Dayton, don't like flight in Dragon Ball because it kind of ruins the fight choreography and stuff.
It's much more interesting when you have to figure out how to get somewhere or how to get around something. When you could just fly, everything just kind of doesn't matter.
Yes, and I feel the same way. It so Goku doesn't have that, which is why he's like running around on the ground. It's fun to watch that, but the interesting part is that he leaps up into the air, and Kefla even says, "Oh, I've got him. He can't move. Like he's stationary in the air. I can just lead the shot and shoot him with a massive ki blast." And that's the moment that turns into we're like, what's he gonna do? He can't fly, so he can't change his trajectory. So you watch him just flip his body in midair over his charged Kamehameha, like you said, Dayton, and fully just like grind down Kefla's ki blast and blast her point blank. Fucking 10 out of 10. Phenomenal, super hype moment. I love it.
Also, just a kind of a quick note is I like the animation for Kefla's blast because it's the two different colors of energy kind of spiraling together. I thought that was a nice artistic touch. So even as like the ki blast he's grinding up even looks cool. So this whole like end scene for me just is excellent. It's all junk food to me, but it's my favorite kind of junk food because it's just cool as hell.
Yes. Yes, 100%. Also, just, I mean, what a cool way. Like, this ends the fight with Kefla. So, who is supposed to be obviously a very powerful opponent. What an awesome way to end this fight. Really cool way to just take down a big, powerful opponent.
And I think to even kind of emphasize how powerful Kefla was, when Jiren was meditating because he's too important to actually fight, he actually like takes notice, like takes stock of this new fighter that just kind of appeared in the arena.
Yes. Yeah. So they do a good job of giving us those like measuring sticks throughout, basically expressing to us how powerful Kefla is here. Um, but yeah, I think that bare minimum that Kamehameha deserves to be in the top 10.
Yeah, it's super fun. Love it. Definitely some fun moments in that fight, and I don't know, that Kamehameha rail grind just makes it into the top 10 for me. So that
Yeah.
alone is all I needed.
Yeah, 100%. I think that pretty much will take us on to the next one, which we're already touching on a little bit.
Yeah, so the next one is our number 8 on our list, and that's going to be Ultra Instinct, which is, uh, in my opinion, one of the better foreshadowed things in Dragon Ball because they alluded to this very early on in Super with all the training and the flashes of the Ultra Instinct with Whis. Um, and so I like the storytelling. Uh, I like the big reveal with Ultra Instinct too because it's a different power dynamic than just a new Super Saiyan form. And there's just a lot of little things that I think make this more interesting than other like hair swaps.
Yeah, and we're not even really talking about. Uh, I mean, I think Goku fighting Jiren in Ultra Instinct is a big part of this, right? Because that's where we kind of get to see Ultra Instinct in action, and it's awesome. Uh, but I think kind of what Dayton and I are touching on first here is the form itself. I mean, there's so much that I like about it. It's not it's kind of a transformation, but it's also kind of a technique. And I like the technique side of it. I like the idea of having to clear your mind and just kind of, I mean, truly, like the name says, move on instinct. Let your body kind of do what it needs to do to just dodge or attack and not really think about it. The idea that like thinking about it is it, it slows you down. It takes time.
And
And
I know I've mentioned this before too, but I love the idea of that because it references way back to original Dragon Ball when Mr. Popo is training Goku up on the lookout and he has Goku sit there and clear his mind. And I believe he tells him to become the rock. And so this is something that's been a part of Dragon Ball since the very original. And I like that this is becoming a big stepping stone for Goku because he became the rock. And yeah, it ties so much in together and it just makes so much sense. I think there's a ton to like about Ultra Instinct.
it's really cool as like a almost a theology for martial arts as well, or an ideology maybe, of getting to a point where you've trained and practiced something so much and so many times that your body just moves on muscle memory or on instinct rather than truly having to think about what you're doing. Um, so there's a lot that goes into Ultra Instinct that is like it it sets it up and above other transformations in my opinion, especially something like Super Saiyan Blue, which to me is just a palette swap of Super Saiyan. Um, it is it also, to speak of Super Saiyan, it's not a technique or transformation that is solely available to the Saiyan race, which mm, gives it many points in my book.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Kaioken should have been the same way, but we'll see if people who aren't Saiyans actually get it. Like I know the angels actively are always in Ultra Instinct, but
Right.
it does give us the potential that maybe other characters could learn it, or maybe this is a way to get people back into the fold. There's so much potential with Ultra Instinct. It just depends on what they do with it.
Yes, I agree. There is, I know this is dipping into the manga a little bit, but there's even a sequence in the manga where Beerus is fighting the other gods, and he doesn't transform, but he's using the tenets of Ultra Instinct, and Whis is basically saying like, "Oh, you haven't mastered it yet, Beerus," which is super interesting to me because, like you said, you're getting to see somebody else try to use it in that moment, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, and it's more levers for characters to play with. It adds more depth to the battlefield. And I like that, we've got different I mean, I feel like destruction energy should have been a little bit better than what it actually was. 'Cause I like the idea of
Yeah.
having an energy solely focused on like destroying and destruction. And then Ultra Instinct, which almost feels like a defensive technique, right? Like it feels like it's something that's more designed to keep you from getting hurt rather than inflicting pain. So I like the duality of these two techniques sitting side by side with each other.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Um there's also something to be said of the journey that Goku has to take. I mean, truly, and you mentioned the foreshadowing for Ultra Instinct Dayton. Dragon Ball Super in its entirety is almost a journey for Goku to learn Ultra Instinct. There are very early on with Whis training Goku and Vegeta. He's talking about about how Goku is like too relaxed and too silly, and Vegeta is too like rigid and uptight. And this kind of plays into what he's trying to get them to do in order to learn how to fight using Ultra Instinct in a lot of ways. And that kind of culminates with Goku actively like letting go, not thinking, and just moving on instinct to fight Jiren in particular towards the end.
Yeah, it's the narrative beats with Ultra Instinct that I think really take it above and beyond other ones. There's so much story into it, there's so much background to it. There's actual levers for them to pull and how it works. Ultra Instinct is one of the better things done in Super, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing more of it.
Yes. Yeah, I very much agree. And I know we're mostly focusing on Ultra Instinct itself, but I got to say too, the fight between Jiren and Mastered Ultra Instinct, there's a little bit to be said about like some of the auras get a little bit washed out, but the fighting and the animation and the choreography is so much fun.
Yeah, I like how they show Ultra Instinct is just something completely different than everything else. Like I like how they set it apart.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. The visuals of Goku like dodging everything, and then like the millions of tiny little fast rapid punches and stuff like that. It's really cool. I like it a whole lot. I don't know that I have a whole lot more to say about it, but
You will in a little bit, but first we need to talk about our number 9 on our list, which is the character Hit, who was introduced in Champa's little tournament. And he's a fun character. I like the role that he plays in the universe. I like his collection of powers. They match what he does. The idea of this top tier assassin being recruited to join this tournament and watching him fight is super fun. And I'd also just like kind of the persona of his character. He's very soft spoken. He's very short with usually what he's saying. He's very serious and succinct with his words. Everything from his character top to bottom kind of makes sense with what he does and who he is, and I think he's really well written.
I like Hit a lot. I He's probably the best thing that comes out of that pre-tournament with Champa. The idea of like, I mean, manipulating time as far as a combat technique is interesting. It's a unique and challenging hurdle to overcome. And
It's kind of like Galdo, right?
yes, yeah, Galdo's super interesting, especially with the downsides to his techniques. Um, but Hit is like if Galdo were competent.
Yes.
uh, but the idea of like an assassin It's funny too putting an assassin like that in a tournament setting where part of the rules say that you cannot kill your opponent because he's also being limited in terms of the way that he can engage with his opponent too. So there's something to be said about that as well, about his character and his fight.
Yeah, the amount of restraint that you would have to show, because I know that is something that a lot of the characters have to think about is like, all right, like how much power do I apply because I can't kill people? But hits it's even worse because most of his techniques are designed to specifically kill people. Like we see the way he basically like punches holes through people's hearts and kind of one shots them. And I mean, and to think about that and the fact that an assassin not being detected is probably a big part of his fighting style too, and you're trapped in this little arena. The amount of challenges that he had versus the other fighters is probably actually a lot higher.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Even though he's like, clearly the heaviest hitter on Champa's team and the biggest challenge for the rest of for all of Beerus's team, he's at a severe handicap, which is kind of funny. We even see later on when Goku hires Hit to kill him, Hit does so at a distance with a single blow. And so that is that is probably how Hit normally operates rather than being in a ring face to face, having to do fisticuffs and fight you. But he also, much like the Saiyans, Hit learns and adapts as he's fighting. And we kind of learn that he's never really had to do that before.
Yeah, and just I like that Hit's kind of martial arts stance is really kind of close and tight together. Like you can tell that he's trying to be the smallest profile he can be. And I don't know, there's just so many little touches with this character that just stand out to me. I like that he's a weird alien. We don't get enough of those. He kind of looks
Yeah.
like a Frieza a little bit, but he's not. He's definitely different. And that's cool. I like it when we're doing things on a universal scale. Give me some of them aliens.
Yeah, for sure. He's kind of got like a almost like a Cyberman like purple butt crack head going on. But yeah, I like his design. It feels like it feels alien. It feels very Toriyama, and it doesn't. It's simple and sleek that it feels very assassin to me as well. Um, and uh, he's also it's fun to kind of like watch him grow and adapt. It's fun when we get to see like characters like Goku or Vegeta surpass their limits, but getting to see that from this character who's never really had to do it is entertaining. And I also like watching him. He changes his combat stance. Like you mentioned his narrow stance at one point. He changes his stance at another point where he's almost just like fully exposed and open. Uh and it's fun to watch Goku and Vegeta respond to that because they're martial artists effectively. So they're basically like he's leaving himself wide open. What is he doing?
Yeah, and I don't know. It's even his fight with Vegeta, where Vegeta basically just kind of gets knocked around a little bit. I like seeing the way Vegeta tries to adapt, and then Hit just kind of counter adapts every single time. And so, and I think they even mentioned this that before Hit became a top tier assassin, he was somebody who had pride and honor and did practice martial arts, and his fight with Goku kind of reignited that passion, sort of thing. So I like that character development from that side where he's starting to lean into being a martial artist a little bit after fighting our heroes.
Right. Yeah. And there's something very interesting to be said about Hit's character in he's an assassin, right? But there's a measure of honor to him, which is strange in an assassin. And I think one of the elements or one of the ways in which that we see that is Goku, man, if I remember right, Goku basically like steps out of the arena. He like gives up the fight. To which Monaka, our pinch hitter in at the end of this, is the one who steps in against Hit. And I mean, we as the audience know Manaka is a red herring. Like he has no power. He's I think he's a delivery guy. Um, but Manaka delivers a punch to Hit, to which Hit puts on his best terrible acting skills and throws himself out of the ring. Uh, I think basically expressing that he wasn't like satisfied with the way that his fight with Goku went, and that's so interesting in an assassin character like that to have that level of honor. That I just
See,
like
I
the
always feel like
idea.
we could talk about that though, because Hit's kind of a businessman at the end of the day, right? Like it's just
Right.
rather than dealing eggs or produce, he deals death. And so if he wants people to contract with him, he probably does have to have some level of honor to those contracts, right? Um, and so if people are going to trust him to do jobs, he needs to be a trustworthy person to some degree. That's the way I kind of look at it. It's maybe being an assassin's kind of dirty work in and of itself, but he's doing it with kind of a business purpose in mind, I would assume.
That's a great point. In that it feels like the way that he presents himself is that he's I think they even say like he's never missed a mark. He's always gotten his targets. So he's very he's a very reliable person, and I think that that's something that is important to him. And so that even comes out in the way that he treats this tournament. In that he's very like you know what to expect from Hit in and his actions. And I like that. It makes him very interesting.
It almost seemed like what they kind of implied is that it was kind of like dirty mob bosses putting hits out on each other sort of thing. So the people he would be deceasing probably aren't good people. So you probably just kind of like whatever, like I don't really care about them. I'm going to make a quick buck. Like I doubt it's then again, I don't know. I don't know enough about his. I would love to do a deep dive in his character or get a deep dive because there's so many questions that I have and I'm making so many assumptions. But there's so many cool things about there being like this time warping, like top level hitman assassin in the Dragon Ball universe that I want to know more about.
Yeah, yeah. You give me a Hit side anime, and I would watch that in a heartbeat. That'd be super interesting.
Like the kind of company he would keep, the people he would work for. Where does he get his contracts? I have so many questions.
Yeah, yeah. I would really love to see how that universe builds out and fleshes out around him. It would be like, how did he grow up? What was his family life like? Like all of these things that I want to know about him would be super interesting to find out.
Well, I think that about wraps it up with Hit for me, unless there's anything else you wanted to mention.
No, I think we can move on to what I think is our last entry here in our top 10.
Yeah, so the number 10, which once again, none of this is any particular order, on our list of 10 things we like about Super is it's the final battle. It's the final showdown between Jiren and all of our heroes. It's one of the best looking pieces of Dragon Ball art ever made, and there's no way it wasn't going to make it to this list.
Like we talked about this before recording. I would put money on the fact that this has to be like the most rewatched scene in certainly in Dragon Ball Super, maybe even in all of Dragon Ball. It's up there. Uh it's phenomenal. Like the so we're talking clearly to be clear about Jiren is fighting against Goku, Frieza, and Android 17. Where Goku and Frieza and 17 all come up with a plan. They're like, 17, you've got infinite energy. So Goku and Frieza are going to go in melee, and 17 is going to support them from the back because of his infinite energy. And I mean, there's so much to talk about here. The visuals are stunning as
Oh
Goku
yeah,
and
the
Frieza dive
the
in.
animation quality is just insane on this one. Like it's I mean, even after Daima's come out, I still think the final battle with Jiren is still the best looking animation in Dragon Ball. Just that condensed
Ooh.
fight. I don't know if it's the funnest fight because the Tamagami fight was really freaking fun. But animation quality, I still think this one takes the cake.
I would be torn between this and the Tamagami one, but it's the fact that it is even in the same conversation says a lot for this
Yes.
fight.
And I mean, you also get like a cool cast of characters. Like, who the hell would have thought that 17 and Frieza would have been involved in anything together? Not to mention Goku. Uh, there's, and even the dialogue between the characters, little snippets we get where Frieza's begrudgingly working with Goku, still calling him a monkey at every point that he gets the opportunity.
But they continue to work together. Like they charge in at Jiren. I mean, you get like the swirling ki blasts from 17 that are circling around Frieza and Goku as they charge into the fight. What a cool visual. And then they go like they knock Jiren into the pillar, to which like Jiren is just like slamming the both Goku and Frieza into the pillar and darting towards 17 trying to take him out. And like you said, that's where Frieza's basically like, monkey, throw me, and Goku launches him out. Like beautiful visuals throughout. I mean, you get like Frieza trying to fully like take Jiren out, like just bodily take both of them out of the fight. Jiren like raking Frieza against the ground, like ripping part of his tail off, and then the visual of Goku going flashing in and out of Super Saiyan because he doesn't have enough energy to maintain the transformation. Stunning.
There's even I didn't even catch this until now. There's a moment where Goku and Frieza are fighting side by side against Jiren, and Goku takes like this gut punch from Jiren, and Goku takes it and then latches on and pulls like Jiren's arm down, and that exposes his face, and Frieza comes in and just decks him right in the head. Like it's so good. Or with his knee, like comes flying in with a knee. Like it's so awesome. There's so many little details in this fight that they do correct. Like from top to bottom, everything is good on this final like animation run to finish out the series.
Yes, 100%. I mean, I'm like scrubbing through the video of it right now and just like looking at little details. Like the moment that Goku and or sorry, I keep saying Vegeta. Goku and Frieza keep dart in. We cut to Vegeta's face, just like his jaw hanging open as he watches like the person who murdered him and like controlled him for years, and the person that he's Goku, who he's got a very complicated relationship with, but is basically expecting Goku to like win this tournament. These two people working together, and Vegeta just can't handle it. He's just like blank face, can't process. There's even like, I mean, Jiren's gone through a lot in this tournament. There's even drool like dripping down Jiren's face as he's almost like treating him like this animalistic monster as he's just trying to overcome these 3 Universe 7 fighters. Every little detail in this, it's only like 2 minutes long, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, Jiren doesn't have a lot of personality outside of being big and strong, but when he's like grabbing Frieza on top of like this like floating like piece of rock, and he's like thrashing her back and forth, or him thrashing him back and forth like the Incredible Hulk, like just overpowering Frieza. I don't know. It's hard for me to talk about it because there's so many things that are happening so rapid fire, and all of it's like even the way Frieza's fighting, the way Frieza's kind of on the back foot, but like kind of weave in punches while Goku's doing normal martial arts. Just every little piece of detail is just so good.
To say nothing of the music here is hype as fuck. Like,
And that's
it's
funny
so
because
hard.
music was not a strong point for Super. It's something that I know we've
No.
critiqued quite a few times, but the score they chose for the end of this series is perfect. Like it you feel the escalation of tone with the music, and it fits along perfectly.
Yes, yes. This Super missed the mark on music quite a few times. This is not one of those moments. This music is so good. This is on like my gym playlist. I love this song. And then like the tail end of this, the visual. I mean, you cut to like the rest of Universe 7 in the stands, just like, go do it. And the visual of both Frieza and Goku like latched on, punching Jiren, like Frieza's kind of like pinkish purple aura and Goku's golden aura as he manages to hold on to the Super Saiyan for just that moment, and those two streaking out of the arena together with Jiren, and like the side by side visual you get of Goku and Frieza like yelling out together. All of this, I cannot stop gushing about it. It's so good.
And on top of that, like when Goku and Frieza make it into the stands, Goku kind of congratulates Frieza, like, "Oh man, we did it! Thanks, Frieza." And Frieza's like, "Shut up! I don't really care about you."
Yeah,
Like Frieza does not let down his personality at any point.
no, and that's one of the things that I really like about this, because this could be like Goku has turned a lot of villains to the good side. I mean, we talk about Vegeta, we talk about Piccolo, even going back as far as Tien in the original Dragon Ball. Um, and so I don't like the idea of Frieza turning into a good guy. I don't like the idea of like Goku and Frieza now teaming up and being allies. But this is a temporary alliance. This is because they're both fighting for their lives here. That's the only thing they have in common and the only reason that they are working together. And I like that temporary alliance, especially because Goku and Frieza are still very different people. But the idea of them having to work together is fantastic. Like 10 out of 10. We talked about Frieza's characterization earlier, and I love this for Frieza's character.
Yeah, and I do like that Frieza was told about the destruction of the universe at the beginning, and he was like, "No, that's not good enough for me. I still need something out of the deal." Just like Frieza's so evil that like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm living in this hell. I would like the universe to be erased. That sounds great. And so
Yeah.
Frieza's motives are from the very beginning aren't pure-hearted in like any way. It's all selfishness.
And that's perfect for Frieza. I wouldn't have it any other way. Uh and I think that's the only reason for me why this team up works. If this team up were anything else, if it were anything where Frieza was becoming a good guy, I would flip my computer desk and be like, hell no, I'm out. Like, this is terrible writing. But the fact that Frieza continues to be the selfish prick that he is, I'm fully on board.
And I mean, it culminates in Whis restoring Frieza's life. So we know Frieza's going to go back out into the universe and do some dickhole things, and that's what I want. That's what I'm here for. And so there are some interesting chapters ahead because we know Frieza really hasn't had a change of heart.
Yes. Yes, 100%. I think I've said everything I have to say. Like, I could gush about this for days, but it's
It's hard for me to say anything that people probably aren't already thinking of. It's one of the most entertaining pieces of animation ever put out for Dragon Ball. It's not a hard one to put on a top list anywhere. This final fight is one of the best fights in all of Dragon Ball, and I think anyone
yeah.
who says otherwise is wrong, and it's okay to be wrong. You just need to watch it again, I think.
uh, Watched it a few 10 more times. I've truly probably watched this over 100 times. It's just that good. And it hits it out of the park in every aspect, whether it's music, animation, fight choreography, storytelling, just being like a hype moment and like some nostalgia beats. Every piece is perfect. So props to the team that worked on this.
Yeah, it's excellent. I mean, that rounds out our top 10 list, but we do have a couple honorable mentions. I think we wanted to just bring up things that we thought about putting on the list or maybe just narrowly missed. There were a couple moments that we felt like we had to mention. One of which being Gohan's fight with Lavender, the wolf man who poisoned his eyes. The idea of him using his energy to like reflect off his environment and use that to sense his opponent as he moves around the arena, I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's neat. I like getting to see Gohan be, again, we were talking about tactical fights with Krillin, and we kind of see that with Gohan in this fight too. So I like it. I like it for that reason. Some of the animation is a little lackluster here and there, so it's
That's a lot of that tournament, though. A lot of that tournament is ugh.
yeah, it's not the best. So that's one of the reasons why it didn't quite make the list. Uh, I think the next one is Vegeta mentoring Kaba, which I really like a lot. I like the idea that Vegeta mentors Kaba in his own way, that is basically like being a hard ass and kicking the shit out of Kaba. But it's also interesting to see Vegeta be a mentor in the middle of a fight that is important to him, like significant, like he wants to win and he does win, but he doesn't. Vegeta's character has changed a lot in that he doesn't have to go out of his way to win immediately. It's not about the win for him in this fight. He sees a Saiyan who needs his help, and I think that's the key here, is that it's a Saiyan who could use his help, and that is something that he's still willing to delay his victory in the fight at the very least for.
I think for me, and I've made this joke definitely a lot of times off camera or off recording, but this would feel much more impactful to me if he didn't have a son that he forgets about all the time. Like I feel like there's somebody slightly more important that you should be mentoring. So the whole Kaba thing, I understand it, but it feels a little weird to me. And there are definitely some moments I do like, but I also feel like this should have been moments with Trunks, his son, and bringing him into the Saiyan fold and teaching him how to be a warrior. Like that would have been really cool to watch that progression in the Tournament of Power versus this random stranger we were just introduced to.
I very much agree with you. I think that if you took everything that they did with Kaba and transposed that over to Trunks, either version, really, Future Trunks or Kid
Well,
Trunks.
Future Trunks is a badass. Like, imagine
Well,
bringing him
true.
to the tournament. That would have been so cool. I think we briefly talked about that a long time ago, but that would have been so friggin' rad.
I would have liked to have watched that for sure.
Like, let's do full fan service, no breaks. Like, I want all the fan service. Give me Future Trunks, give me Frieza, give me all that good stuff.
Yes, I would love that. But even thinking about like Vegeta teaching or training with Future Trunks in the hyperbolic time chamber, we don't really see much of what that looks like. I feel like some of the moments that we have with Kaba here, you could have even had something kind of like that. Admittedly, Vegeta at that time period was not a very kind and caring person in any shape or form, but it's I think maybe it would make more sense to do it with Kid Trunks, where Vegeta's at this point. It would be much more.
We've got some
interesting that way.
underdeveloped characters that need to be developed a little bit, and I feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity for me. I don't mind Vegeta using this fight to mentor the next generation of warriors or something. It's just weird that it's kept. That's like my only hold up, is all the stuff that happens I'm kind of fine with. It's just, why is it this random thing you just whisked into the universe? Like, why not just have the other characters be developed?
Right. Yes. Yeah, I agree. Um, I think the next one that we had was I think this is probably a fan favorite. In That's My Balma from Vegeta, and this is like, all right, I'll just come out with it right off the bat. I like this moment a lot in the Battle of Gods movie. I think it's fantastic. Yep. But we're mostly talking about Dragon Ball Super, the anime here. And if you watch this moment in the anime, bare minimum in comparison to the movie, not nearly as good. It's like a 5 out of 10 compared to a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, the movie just does it so much better. And unfortunately, we're, like you said, we're sticking straight to the anime series since its 10-year anniversary. And the series does an okay job with it. Like you said, 5 out of 10 is about what it rates at. And I mean, it's an important moment for Vegeta. We get to actually see his power level rise above Goku's at the time. You can see what being pushed and what emotion does to our fighters, which has been a theme throughout Dragon Ball. We see it all the time. So I like that it happened here. It's done so much better in the movie. And this is kind of what plagues the series sometimes, is that I probably would like this more, rate it more highly, if we didn't just have a better version of it sitting off to the side.
That's the problem. Especially when I watch them back to back, I'm like, oh man, the movie version is awesome, and then I watched the anime version, and I was like, oh, that's less awesome.
so so we do like this moment. It's just unfortunately the better version of it is disqualified from our list.
Right.
And next in our list of honorable mentions is Monaka. I thought it was kind of an interesting, it was like a gag, but also like a gag with a purpose. So I thought it was well implemented. And we talked about this briefly beforehand. It's actually kind of a reference to something that we've seen before in Dragon Ball, where when Goku entered his very first World Martial Arts tournament, Roshi didn't want Goku to become complacent by winning the tournament and not having any more carrot to go after. And so that's kind of what Beerus was doing with Manaka by saying, this is the strongest fighter. And once you're strong enough, I'll let you fight him, sort of thing. Like giving Goku that motivation to keep getting stronger and not be complacent. And there's all these gags with Monaka kind of being pushed on the edge of fighting and Goku trying to get that sparring with him and Beerus trying to like run interference. And the jokes are fine. But the idea of Monaka as a character I thought was worth mentioning.
Yeah, I agree. There is something funny like that I enjoy, even though it kind of plays into the dumb Goku stereotype for Super. But there's something funny about everybody else is in on the fact that Monaka is a weakling except for Goku. Goku's the only one who's like, man, I can't sense any energy from him. What is going on? Like, he must have some sort of weird technique or something interesting that makes him such a powerful fighter. Like, what is it? I want to see it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of in line with Goku's character where, he's believing, why would Beerus lie to him? Like, I believe you. You say he's the most powerful. You're the god of destruction. Why would you lie to me?
Right. Yeah. It rides a fine line of like Goku being naive to the point of being dumb, versus him also being like a fighting savant. So it's like it's a tough tightrope to walk, but there is some comedy to be had there for sure. And it's a fun little gag. But I think that pretty much brings us to our last honorable mention, which is Goku reacting to Goku Black, or Zamasu, killing his family.
Yeah, and this is also something we see a lot in Dragon Ball, is that visceral reaction to an event, that explosion of power from emotion. And I mean, it's done pretty well here. Mind you, we had to sit down and think about how the timelines worked and which family was killed, and because time travel is very confusing and not one of my favorite storytelling techniques. But it's definitely a fun moment. I think it's animated decently well. I just think there are better moments with Zamasu that just kind of overtake this one for me.
Yeah, I would agree, and it's like the animation it's decent, and that's like. That is one thing that holds it back too. If this was given a little bit more, I mean, just if they threw the A team at this and gave it some time to be animated really well as just not even just the animation, just the presentation of like Goku feeling those emotions of his family getting killed and everything, I think could have been done a little bit better. Like it's fun, I like it, but I think it could have been given a little bit more oomph to make us really feel it as the audience. So it's a good moment. It just, we had a few things that kind of nudged it out of our top 10.
Yeah, and I mean, that's unfortunately just part of the problem with the Zamasu Future Trunks storyline, is that I feel like it was just kind of a filler series where it really didn't get any A team attention, which kind of sucks because there's some really cool fighting moments that happened that could have been made even better with some more attention to detail. I'm actually rewatching Goku's reaction to it right now, and the animation's fine. There could have been more here, though. It's a little bit of a missed opportunity, even though it's kind of a cool visceral reaction we get from Goku.
Yeah, like I think that the fan base tends to enjoy, I mean, just like the That's My Balma enjoys moments that are like emotionally charged, especially when they are as cathartic as Goku whooping that ass of Zamasu and Goku Black. Um, so it's fun to see him put the beat down on them, but it's
The back fist is my favorite part.
just like the nonchalant just smacks him in the nose.
It's like, you are immortal, but you're also way weaker than me. Bonk.
Yeah. Treating Zamasu as like an afterthought is, again, just pure catharsis. It's very fun to watch.
Oh man. Yeah, we had to talk about it. It's a fun scene, but there's definitely some better moments in Dragon Ball. So that's why it didn't make it into our top 10.
Yeah. I think that's all of our honorable mentions. Just to as like a quick rundown or refresh of our top 10. And again, as Dayton said, not in any particular order, but we had to put them in some sort of order for us to cover. But we basically had Vegeta versus Jiren and some of Vegeta's speeches, Zamasu as a whole, Super Saiyan Blue plus Kaioken, hype as fuck, Frieza and just Frieza's writing, Krillin's tactics versus Goku, Beerus and Whis, phenomenal characters, Kefla's fight, particularly the Kamehameha rail grind, Ultra Instinct, and the fights and foreshadowing, everything surrounding Ultra Instinct. Hit, just full stop, hit. And then the last one that we covered, the final fight against Jiren, because it is fantastic. But I think that's pretty much our top 10 Dragon Ball Super moments. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover or talk about, Dayton?
No, other than it's crazy that it's been 10 years since the release of Dragon Ball Super. Like, it doesn't even feel like that long ago we were watching it.
It is wild. Yeah, released in 2015. We're in 2025. I mean, fingers crossed that we're gonna get a news of something, a continuation of the manga, the anime, another movie. According to Toei, they said that they're gonna crank out some more Dragon Ball content, even without Akira Toriyama. So I'm still hoping that we hear something after the end of Daima.
I mean, a movie or two with the quality that they've been coming out with would be fantastic. Like Battle of Gods or Resurrection F, Broly movie, something along those lines of that quality. And I'm happy as hell. That's if they need a break to figure out where the manga's going and kind of get things sorted out a little bit. Because I know it's got to be a turbulent time. So
yeah,
if they got to take some time to rehash some content, but do it in a high quality way, I think that'd be a perfect stopgap that everyone would enjoy.
Like you said, even if they did a movie version of the Future Trunks arc in Super, or even a movie version of the Tournament of Power and condense that fucking 55 episode monster or whatever it is down into a couple hours and do it, I mean, the quality of like a Battle of Gods movie, I would eat that up.
Well, and look at how many cool like animations and fight scenes and moments you could have with all of the side characters who are gathered there. Like you could have so much fan service in one single movie. You could probably make one of the funnest Dragon Ball movies ever by just taking the Tournament of Power and condensing the good stuff into a feature-length film.
Yeah. Cut out all the chaff and give me just all the sweet good moments in the Tournament of Power. I would be happy as could be. But yeah, I think otherwise, that's going to be it for this episode of Instant Transmission, where we discuss everything Dragon Ball. This has been your host, Todd.
And Dayton.
Don't forget, we're on Patreon and Discord. If you want to give us a 10x boost on our duration, if you know what I mean, you can find us at patreon.com/ITDBpodcast. The Discord link will be in the episode description, but you can also find it and all of our other links at linktree/ITDBpodcast. Thank you all so much for your support. Be sure to join us next time as we don our sacred trucker hat in Super Android 13.
I can't wait to see the original.
Yeah, some of us have only seen the Team 4-star version. But Dr. Gero had a few misfit androids that have escaped his toy chest, and they've only got eyes for one man, Goku. And they'd love to see him turned into sensu bean fertilizer.
Oh, God. Oh.
Will 3 Super Saiyans be enough to overcome these new androids? What secret technique or transformation do they have in store for our heroes? Just how durable are Goku's testicles? Find out next time. And to all our fellow Dragon Ball fans, stay safe out there, and remember to keep rocking the dragon.
Weakness identified.
Where's my trucker hat?
So good.